Okay, we're going to do a quick tour of our front yard foodscape. There's some exciting things happening. Today is May 10th, and we'll just give you a quick tour, show you what we're growing. This first bed here we're using as a salsa garden. So in the corners we've got garlic. On the right side there you can see there's a row of onion with a borage planted in the middle. That's that. And then there's actually 8 tomato plants in these cages, and we spaced them pretty close together. They're all actually determinate bush varieties, so they're at 18-inch spacing. If they were indeterminate varieties, I'd probably space them further out. Then you can see we've got 5 pepper plants in there mixed in with some basil, and then along this side we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 marigolds, and these I started all of them from seed, and they actually grew faster in the greenhouse, in our greenhouse, than I was expecting. So I wanted to get them planted before they got too big. I like to plant tomatoes when they're about 6 to 8 inches, and the weather hadn't quite warmed up yet. So we actually put this red plastic down to keep some of the soil heat, and they seem to be doing great so far. In fact, we've already got quite a bit of flowering on the tomatoes. And then in this bed, we kind of have perennials mixed in with a couple annuals. We like to grow perennials in the foodscape. Some of our favorites are asparagus. This whole area here is a sweet purple asparagus. You can see this one's coming up. There's a couple coming up. This one looks a little green at the moment. There's another one. And this is the first time that I've planted it in the spring, bare root. So we're gonna see how it goes. You cover the ditch, or you fill in this ditch as they get bigger. So most of them are coming up. We'll see how that goes. We also have a lot of strawberries in here. And then these are artichoke, which is semi-hardy in Utah, but we've gotten ours to come back. So we've got a lot of perennials in here. The strawberries we should get fruit out of for about 3 to 5 years. Asparagus in the back, we've been growing it for about 3 years now, and it's been going really well. But from what I read, asparagus can produce for up to 18 years. And then artichokes too will come back if you protect them in the winter. Here we've got some peas, and we got this simple trellis. We're growing peas on it now, and then when it warms up around mid-June or so, the peas will be done, and we'll follow it with squash and maybe some pole beans. And this trellis is pretty simple. It's made out of 2x2 redwood that I just screwed into the side here, and then mounted this. It's called I think that's called concrete wire mesh. Just picked it up at the hardware store, at the big box store, and stapled it in and put a twist tie here, and that's going to be our trellis for our peas in the cool weather, and then for our squash and beans in the warm weather. Here, this bed kind of mirrors the other. It's also has peas, artichoke, strawberries, and then, like the other, has some marigolds mixed in, and some borage. Okay, so then here we've got more peas growing on that trellis, and then we've got broccoli in the middle there, and beetroot on the right, which again are cool season crops. This broccoli was started in February, grown in our greenhouse, and then we planted it at the end of March, early April. And you can see, like I said, it's May 10th now, and we're already getting broccoli. So we're gonna be eating broccoli here soon. Actually, in fact, this one, I don't know, we might harvest that in the next couple of days. We'll be eating broccoli. And the beets we should be eating here pretty soon too. And as you can see, we got more peas there. Let's make our way around the other side. So I'm just kind of using this trellis for peas right now, but really what it is a trellis for this grapevine. I thought it would be neat to experiment trying to work the grapevine on a trellis right in with the main beds. So this is a Cannabis grape. It's a red seedless grape. It's usually spur pruned. So the idea is we'll grow it up this trellis, and then, sorry, the sun's in the way. And then here we'll prune it and then train one cordon, they're called, this way, and one this way. And then each year we'll prune it back to spurs on those cordons. I'll try to do some videos on that in the future to give a little more detail. But I want to show you the rest of the foodscape here real quick. As kind of the centerpiece of the foodscape, we're putting 2 pluots. So this is a Dapple Dandy pluot on the left, and this is Flavor Supreme on the right. As you can see, they're planted really close together, so it's going to be kind of an experiment, and I'd like to do a follow-up video on that to give you more detail. We're going to kind of treat it as the centerpiece, keep them really small with summer pruning. Let's see, what else? As you can see, we put some, these are chamomile. We just put some chamomile seeds in there, so that'll attract some beneficial insects right in with the fruit trees, which will be great. Over here, it's in the shade so you can't see it as well, but this is a little baby apple tree. That's a Zestar apple that I grafted last year at one of the USU grafting workshops, and it's looking pretty good. It's only in it's really a baby tree. Here's some more of our more established fruit trees. These went in the ground in 2014, so 4 years in the ground. They were probably 2 years old when we planted them. So on the left here we have a heavenly white nectarine, produces amazing fruit. It's delicious. We've been keeping it small with summer pruning every June, late June, early July. We prune it back to keep it nice and small. Do the same with this tree, let it get a little bit bigger though. It's a Haro Delight European pear. As you can see, it's loaded with fruit. So in fact, these we like to thin. It's about time to thin them. When they're about a ½ an inch, we thin it. So we've got tons of pears on there. Let's see if we can find some nectarines too. Yeah, we're gonna have tons of nectarines. We're gonna do some thinning there too. The Haro Delight pear is delicious. It's like a Bartlett style pear, but it also has some disease resistance. Depending on your climate, fire blight might be a concern. Here in Utah, there's some cases of fire blight, and Haro Delight is supposed to have some resistance to that. We haven't had any problems with fire blight yet. And then on the edge here of the foodscape, we have a row of espalier fruit trees. So this one is a European pear, and it has 3 varieties of European pear grafted onto it, already tiered. So we just planted these in March, planted them bare root in March. 3 varieties of European pear on that one, and then this is a 3-in-1 Asian pear, and then last but not least, a 3-in-1 apple. Okay, that about wraps up our May tour of our front yard foodscape. We're growing a ton of food in a small space. We're growing perennial vegetables to get food out of that area for over a period of years. We're saving a lot of room for our favorite annuals. We're mixing in a bunch of fruit trees. We now have 8 fruit trees in this small area, counting the 2 pluots, the baby apple, the nectarine, the European pear, and the 3 espalier. We're mixing in a grapevine, and we're going to follow our cool season crops with some warm season crops to really get a lot of food out of these small areas. And we're having a lot of fun with it. We're doing some experiments on trying to keep our fruit trees small and contained in a small space. We're espaliering some fruit trees, and yeah, that about wraps it up. So thanks for watching Foodscaping Utah, and grow your own.